here in Basking Ridge, New Jersey, and I go live every Wednesday at 3 p.m. Eastern Time to share with you some of the things that I'm working on and specials coming up and, all kinds of Stampin' stuff. So today I'm continuing my series on working with the different templates that are offered in the annual catalog on page 22, and we are up to template number 7. And I am excited to share with you this very simple template and what you can do with it. So let's hop on over to my desktop and take a look at the template. So this is the template. Look how simple that is, right? It just has a focal point in the center of a card and a little piece of ribbon on there. So I'm sure you can imagine that that looks kind of plain, but imagine if you put a piece of designer series paper behind it and then a fun big message or a sentiment and maybe a little bit of stamped artwork, something like that. So that would be a great way to use this template, but I chose, as usual, to use some designer series paper. So let's take a look at what I created. So this is the card that I wanted to share today, and it features the Thoughtful Journey designer series paper. And the reason I'm sharing it with you, I want to show you a couple of tricks that you could that helps you make the most of this 6x6 paper. Now, here's the designer series paper, and it comes like this. So it's 6x6, and it has 4 sheets each of 12 different designs, and they are scenic and beautiful. And what I love is that on the reverse side of each of the pages is a design that coordinates nicely with the design on the front. So you could easily create the background using the image, and then you could use the design on the back for the center there. But I did it a little bit differently, and I want to show you that so that you can get more out of your paper. So let's talk about some of the dimensions on here. So this card, I'm going to say, is it's just a solid card front. So that's going to be 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. That's the front only. I like to provide some layers. So mine is actually, it starts out with the Misty Moonlight is that same size here, but I added a piece of Pretty Peacock, sorry, little brain freeze there. And then so I made that just a slightly smaller. And then I added some designer series paper that's even slightly smaller than that, but that just has a teeny tiny border. So that's just the 1/8 of an inch difference there. So I'll show you as we put it together. But let's go ahead and do that. Okay, so you can see though that it really is essentially the same design, and it has a mat instead of just the plain focal point. So the plain focal point is, let's measure it. Only because I didn't do this before. You could certainly take a piece of paper and cut it, and it's about 2 by 3, and then flagged at the bottom. Okay, but I did this using some dies. So you can see that, let's write that in so that we know. So that was 2 inches by 3 inches for that center focal point. Okay. So now that we have that, let's go ahead and put this card together and show you how I did it. So this is just Misty Moonlight. It's a full 8 1/2 by 5 1/2 inch card, folded in half. And hey, Sharon, I'm glad you like it. And here we go. I'm just going to use regular adhesive because since this is a dark colored card, I like to put some white on the inside so that when I go to write, I can see what I'm writing and the recipient can see what I wrote. All right. Okay. So here we go. Now we're going to work on the card front. So first thing is I'm going to take that piece of 4 inches by 5 1/4 of that Pretty Peacock. But before I glue this down, I'm going to go ahead and use one of the die that I want to use. This is the Nested Essentials dies. They are not currently available. I just found that out, but they will be back shortly. So here we have the Nested Essentials, and so I'm using the flags, so it makes it so easy. I don't have to worry about flagging the bottom. And look what I'm going to do. We're not going to see this on this card. You don't see what I'm cutting out here. We're going to be covering that whole thing up. So I'm just going to go ahead and die cut this out, and through the magic of television, of course, I have done so. So here you go. So that's what it looks like when it's die cut out. And I'm going to glue that to the front of the card. Again, I'm just using my usual Stampin' Seal. Okay. So you can't worry about this being a hole here because we're covering it. Okay. So let's show you how we're covering it. So remember, this paper is 6 by 6. So I went ahead and cut it down to 3 7/8 by 5 1/8. Okay, so that it leaves that teeny tiny border around the outside. And just like I did with the front piece, I'm taking the second largest of the little banners, and that's what I used to die cut out the center piece. And again, we're going to cover it up. So this way we don't have to use an extra piece of designer series paper, because to be honest, that 2 by 3 is very close. And while we do have that 2 inches left over, actually 2 1/8 inches left over. Hey Betsy, nice to see you. Thanks for joining. We could have cut it out of there. This way I don't have to worry about that. And I can save that for another project. Okay. Now, if I want to, on here, so I'm gluing that down so that it has a little bit of a border. And what I could have done is use the back side of that cardstock. Remember how I said that the reverse side is a coordinating color? Well, I decided instead of doing that, I wanted to use the front side. And that's because it still has a little bit of that design at the bottom, and it won't overtake something that I'm going to stamp on here. So as you can see, it fits right in there, but I'm going to go ahead and stamp it first. Now I should be using Pretty Peacock. Don't tell anybody, and I'm going to use Shaded Spruce because my Pretty Peacock is getting ready for my card classes that I'm having this week. And so I do set everything up in advance, and things are already ready for that. Now I'm using Grateful for You, and I'm just going to stamp it kind of just in the middle. I love how this has the combination of fonts, and let me just show you where I got that from. It's from actually the Layers of Beauty stamp set. I just wanted something that fit in there, and this just was absolutely perfect. I love like I said, the different fonts. I just love this whole stamp set. We've used it many other times, but I'm just using the words from there. Of course, you could use anything that you like. And you can see that the Shaded Spruce for this particular card is close enough to that Pretty Peacock. And I'm going to say I'm okay with that. So now what we want to do is add this. Where's my banner? Here it is. I'm going to take my banner, and we're going to add this. Now see, remember, it's bigger than the hole that we just cut out. So I'm going to go ahead, and you'll notice too that when I cut it out, I was a little crooked, right? That's a little crooked. Well, don't have no fear. Just adding my banner back to it over the top. Now remember, the reason that this is Misty Moonlight showing through the hole is because we cut this out of the bottom layer. So here I'm going to try to get it straight. You can adjust it any way you like, and then I'm going to go ahead and add the piece that I just stamped to the front of the card. So you can see how we've conserved our paper just a little bit. When it comes to the 6 by 6 cardstock, I can't conserve enough. I am a hoarder when it comes to DSP as it is, and I like to just get the maximum out of it. Now this is pretty just by itself, but let's go ahead and add some ribbon. We're going to add a bow, and I really wanted to show this to you. This is the Pretty Peacock and Gold ribbon, and Let's see if I can get the camera to focus. There you go. It's got this very kind of delicate weave, and watch how easy it is to tie into a bow. A lot of our ribbons are a little bit stiff. This is not one of those. So normally I just go with a knot, but because this ribbon is so easy to tie and so easy to work with, I'm going to go ahead and make a bow here. Okay, and you see how I do it. I keep it on the spool so that I don't waste any more than I need to. And you can see how it's like somewhat sheer. I don't know if you can see that, but anyway, there's gold and there's the pretty peacock. So you can futz with it and get it to just the right size that you like. And when you're happy or close enough, then you can, I'm just going to take my scissors. I like to cut it on an angle. And I'm just going to add this to the card using some glue dots. Okay, so here are my glue dots on the spool. And I like to rip it, take it off, because it's on the inside of the paper. And I'm just going to add my glue dot like so, peel it off so that it's on the back, and I'm putting it on an angle. That's just how I like it. Okay, so that's pretty, but I wanted to show you one other thing that we have, and that is our Metallic Enamel Effects Basics. Now these are little bottles of, you know, metallic effects, and this is gold, this is bronze, and then there's a silver, and that is in a box waiting to be used on a separate project. So it comes with all three. And what's beautiful about it is I said, oh, you know what, I really want to use some gold. I want to have some gold accents on here, and I said, you know what, let's try this. One thing you don't want to do is shake it like hard. I'm just sort of tapping it so that it gets to the end of the nozzle, because it's liquid in here, and then I'm just going to put it to my paper and give the bottle a squeeze, and you can make your little enamel effects just the size that you want. Now they do look like Hershey Kisses right now, but we're going to get that to just level out just with a little bit of maneuvering there. And what's beautiful about this is that another thing that I hoard, as you know, is embellishments. I like to make sure that I have lots on hand, and you know, they can get expensive after a while. Well, these are, you have an endless supply. Well, probably not endless, but you have lots and lots and lots of gold dots that you can create on here. So I can see that this one's sort of Hershey Kiss Light. You know, that's why they're called Hershey Kisses, because if you've ever been to the Hershey chocolate factory, it'll tell you that they take the chocolate and they put it down to the thing that, what is that called? Let the treadmill that they sit on, and they go, they squish it down, and then they pull it up, and they go like that. That's the noise that it makes. So that's Hershey. That's why they're called kisses, but they show the telltale little point. And just to eliminate that, you can just take the tip of your nozzle and just sort of move it around a little bit. You can also tap your paper down and it will flatten it out a little bit. It does take a few minutes to dry. I would say give it a good 10 minutes, especially if you have some of the bigger blobs, if you will, right? So the bigger the blob, the longer you need to give it to dry. Overnight will definitely get you where you want to be, but just, you know, an hour probably is good too. So that is the card. Now that you've seen what you can make with this template, let me show you another one. And this card that I'm going to show you is actually one of the cards in my Zoom card class coming up this month. And you can see it's the same idea, except wow, what a difference, right? Here we use some, we emboss this with the exposed brick embossing folder, and then these flowers and leaves are from the Country Flowers bundle, and the stamp is from Unbounded Beauty, I think. Don't quote me on that one. I have a little thread there, and you can see it's essentially the same template Thanks, Diane. I'm glad you like it. So if you really like this card in particular, you can sign up and get the kit to make two of these cards, as well as 4 other cards, each of 2 other designs. That class is going to be held on the 22nd of July. And July? Yes, we're still in July. Oh my goodness. And if you want to do that, just contact me and we'll get you signed up and I'll get the kit in the mail. It's only $15 for the 6 cards. And there's a Zoom class and a tutorial, so it makes it really easy. But all of this is die cut for you and the embossing is done and you just start putting it together. So anyway, those are 2 cards that you can make using this template. And I think, let's see, that is, I'm going to come back over here. And that is all I have for today. So if you have any questions about any of this, let me know. The dimensions for everything will be, and the supplies used are in the information underneath this video. And again, head on over to my blog to see other ideas, and we'll see you next week. Thanks so much. Bye-bye.